Hello, coders, and welcome back for our next installment in the Introduction to Arrays. And today's topic that we want to look at in our video is about declaring them. So we want to be a little more specific about the structure of how to actually declare an array, because there's multiple ways to do it. And depending on what you want to do and how you want to accomplish it or what you're going to use it for, slight variations can happen. So we're going to take a look at some basics today. We'll take it from there. So first, let's look at a couple of these situations. Then we'll go into code blocks and look at the actual code. All right. So to get ourselves started, the way that we normally declare to the computer that an array exists is we just modify the variable declaration with this square bracket notation that falls behind it. So you can see here in this example on the slide that we're changing it to whatever size is going to be. So size was declared as a constant sometime before and has a value of 5. So it needs a value of how many slots will the array hold. Okay. So in this case, 5. And we use the square brackets behind the variable. So you notice int tests look the same, except now we put the square bracket back behind. Now you don't need to use the constant. And in today's examples, you'll see us using the constant without it, just to show you different ways to do it. The preferred way is if you're using something that you know you're going to modify for later, then use the constant so it's easier to modify your entire program instead of having to individually seek out all the places you use that value. So it's a little easier to make modifications. Okay. So here you can see the subscript notations for anything of size 5 is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And as we go through this array, that's important, because you want to be able to access each of these individual spots. So remember, the size that we pick is going to have 5 slots. If you chose 5, you chose 10, it has 10 slots. But the first slot will always be subscripted 0, and the last slot will be 1 less than the actual size declared. So 0 through 9 is a total of 10. 0 through 4 is a total of 5. Okay. So we're going through. Here we go. And we're getting to where I need to be. There we go. So when looking at this situation for the initialization of the array, again, we use the size variable to declare a size, and then to initialize it, to actually put values in there, we can use this brace technique. All right, so in the past, you might have used the simple data, int character equal quote a quote. That stored the letter A into the character ch variable or wherever. And so you can declare and initialize at the same time. And we can do that with arrays as well. If you want to predetermine, preset what's in the array, which you'll see in our example here in a moment, we can certainly do that. And here is an opportunity. We would declare a size of 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers have been set up into that. Now, you don't have to fill all 5 spots, so this is something I want to bring into your attention right now. The variable size, whatever you pick here, doesn't mean you must have that many items in the list. You can go up to that amount, so it's like a cap. So you might not know, as a teacher, I don't know how many students I'm going to get next year. So maybe I know I'm capped at 35 students. So I would need an array in my program that processes all the lists and all that fun stuff up to 35. All right, but this year's one of the classes, since we were kind of split up, was 16 in person, and there was 10 out in cyber. So together, I didn't hit 35, but I didn't fill it either. So we have some space to play with, I guess you could say. So do keep that in mind that when we actually declare these things, we always declare them to be what's the maximum amount that I would expect, reasonable amount that I would expect. I mean, our programs that we're writing are just going to be reasonable things. They're not meant to work for unlimited data. And we have other structures for unlimited data or unknown, completely unknown. We have other things we can do, and we teach about those in our AP class, not here in the intro course. All right. So anyway, so sorry. So that's that. All right. So what happens if you don't fill it? All right. So just to kind of give you a heads up, you can see we have declared this one to be a size 7. But we only put 4 items in. So it stores the items in that order, 1, 2, 4, 8, in that slot order. So slot 0, slot 1, slot 2, slot 3. But the rest if it's an integer, get all zeros. Okay. Anything that's integer-based will get zeros. All right. Strings, if you're doing a list of names, will get double quotes for the empty string. So double quotes. So what'll happen there just is an empty string. So it stores blanks, all right, in there. Okay. So there's one other way we can do this, and this here is what we call a default initializer, an implicit initializer. You'll notice this is the only time, and I'll tell you that it's the only time you can leave the brackets empty, all right, in here. And with that in mind, you can keep the brackets empty as this 12, 17, 15, 11. We'll then say, hey, we've got 4. So we've got 4 things that are going to go in here, so the computer assumes 4. And we'll actually make it a size 4. So if you want to, if you meant to be larger than 4, yeah, you're out of luck. Can't do it, but this would allow you to do that. Okay. All right. And one last piece is that you have to make sure that you don't go out of bounds. All right. So whatever the boundaries are that we keep talking about, 0, 1, 2, 3, you have to stay to those. So that's going to be our preview for the next piece. So first of all, today we want to talk about and show you some examples of getting this initialized. So let's take a look at 2 scenarios that we have set up. And the first that you already have is part of your sample code. So let's take a look over there to the sample code. And in the sample code, we've set up 2 arrays. The first array is days. Notice there is no number in there. And it is set up with 31, 28, 31, 30. You might recognize that pattern. The second is, if you didn't recognize the pattern, you will now, hopefully. The second array I have is months. Now notice I put numbers in it, and I put a space in here. Now, I don't prefer the space, but I know some of you, I've noticed as you write things out, like to put things with extra spaces in. I just wanted you to be aware that it does work with a space between the variable and the square bracket. I wouldn't recommend it because you want to glue them together. I think it's better cohesiveness for reading, but that again is your programming style. So I'm not going to mark it wrong, but it's not normally written that way. Okay. So as we run this, you'll see we have a for loop here that's going to go 0 through 11. All right, 0 to 11. I'm not going out of bounds. All right. And we're outputting this, and so let's run this. So if you run your code that I gave you, you should see that it outputs properly. There's no errors in it. And it prints out the name of the month, and the little sentence has blah, blah, blah days. And the only thing we'd have to worry about now is making sure if it was a leap year, we would correct February somehow. So we would need to fix February. Not a problem, but that's a little bit shorter, I think, of code than what we did earlier with those if statements. So we had a little project earlier in the year that we did if statements for the calendar, and now we have it all stored in an array, and it's just look it up. So that's kind of cool. All right, so we'll come back and use this code in a project a little bit later, okay? Next, we want to take a look at another piece of sample data here. I'm going to comment this out here. So /*/, and I want to show you another example. So let me just paste this in here, and then I'll expect you guys, I'll pause the video here for a second, letting you guys go ahead and type that up. So give yourself a second, hit pause, and go ahead and type all that in so you have it. Okay, hopefully you got all that typed in, and you'll notice here I have set up something a little different, just scores and points possible. So this is like a little quiz grade book kind of thing. And you'll notice it's based on size, and if you saw earlier in your code, there it is. There's the const declared for size. It's declared as 3. So as we're running this, and we go ahead and run this, you can see we've declared and stored 100 for all the points possible for the 3 test scores. So the first thing is we're going to input here the 3 test scores the student got, all right? And then down here is the output of the scores being tested. All right, so let's go ahead and run this and see what it gives us. All right, I'll slide over to the side so you can read the code as we go. So enter score number 1. Oh, interesting. This is slot 0, but it says number 1. Maybe you can look in the code and see why it says 1. All right, because it's storing this in slot 0. So let's put let's say we got a 90 on the first test. Score number 2, sweet. Let's say we didn't do so hot. Let's say we got an 81. And then on score number 3, I came back and I got a 93. All right, and I have it printing in a nice little table format here, using some commenting and some formatting issues for the output. And just output, here it is, just a simple loop that runs through the array that outputs the values, scores, and points possible. Nice. All right. So you can see we can have it where we input directly into the array. And that's something I wanted to make sure I showcased with you here. So here is a process of how we actually would input directly into the array. We name the array and the position. that we're trying to store in. Typically when doing this, we would put this into some sort of for loop like you see here, and that would go through. It's the same for loop we use on the output. You'll notice they're the same loops that start at the beginning, 0, 1, 2, and then it finishes. So if we were to change size to 5, all right, then I go run, so that automatically should start my program right here. All right, so here we go. So 90, 81, 93. Oh, got more scores to enter. Well, that's good. I didn't change any of the loops. I just changed size, right? 98 and let's say 88. All right. And you'll notice that the scores were all entered up correctly. But there's that situation that since we didn't change the actual values in the input, so right here, we didn't add more possible scores in here, it initialized them to 0. So I wanted to show you that it really does happen, not just in a slide. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this sample. I'm going to be asking you to go ahead and turn in for me this code here that we just typed in, all of this here. Please type that code in at that point. This code I don't need, you already have it. So if you erased it and put the other code in, that's fine. Or if you have it all in one big project, I'll take it all. Go ahead and submit that for your credit for class, and we'll see you in the next video. And don't forget to answer the 20-point assignment. Thank you. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next vid.